Well, hello, my viewer. Welcome to this new episode of Nuggets of Wisdom with me, Dr. Nzomo AK. The last episode, I introduced the 3 pillars of life we need to use when now we are racing our lives. Now from age 20, as I stated, life does not begin at age 40 as many people believe. Life begins at age 20 after we leave childhood and the teenage. This is where we begin now to deploy ourselves in the land of the living. And that is where serious business of life begins. And you see, my viewer, from age 20, there are principles governing life. And this is what I began now to launch into as your tour guide, as we explore the true mystery of life. If we want to be successful, if we want to become our best, as I have indicated in my one great book that is Become Your Best, already we have seen that from age 20, it's good to make sure you have 4 keys that now lead to a peaceful life. And from there, we have gone to 3 levels of laws that are governing life, and which we have to ensure that we don't violate if we want to build our life successfully. We don't violate the laws. Now, I am now addressing on the 3 main pillars that we need to use in order to build this life in the land of the living. And the last episode, I introduced the first pillar, that is your personal dream. The second pillar is truth. And the third pillar, I said, is something called justice. Last episode, we dealt in details about the pillar that is our personal dream. And we saw if you don't have this pillar with you, you might not end up being successful. You might not end up being your best, because already you see you might end up being living another person's life. You might end up being frustrating yourself in life because you have not identified your area of gifting or talenting, your assignment in life, what on earth you are here for. And we saw very clearly that if you don't live your life, you don't release your potential, now you are not going to be outstanding in whatever you are going to do. And that work, if it does not stand out, then money will not accrue to you, because also out there are other players who are performing better, who are outperforming you, and those people now are the ones who now money will look after, because I said money goes to a talent, money accrues to a talent, and the money is with the people. It is people who need its service, and if you cannot give them good service, definitely they will not come. That is the principle of life. So whatever you do for a living now should be your own area of gifting. Now we are coming to the second pillar, which you must have in life in order to be successful, in order to lead a good life, in order to be your best. And this pillar is called truth. There's one great scripture I mentioned even as I was beginning the first episode, that is now introduction to the human mind, where we saw as he thinks in his heart, so is that is Proverbs chapter 23 verse 7. Human being is a sum total of his thoughts, of his mind. And this is where we saw God giving humankind 8 clear instructions they have to comply with in order or to take exemplarily in the land of the living. In the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 8, this is where we are going to get the 2 pillars that I'm now addressing in this episode and the next episode. Now, in Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, where we see Paul saying, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, he said, think on those things. That is an instruction. And we have seen in Proverbs chapter 23 verse 7, as he thinks in his heart, so is he. So you cannot be engage your mind outside this framework of the 8 instructions, and you think now you are going to deliver. These are clear instructions from the one who gave us the mind without even praying, without asking, because he knew we need a mind in this life. And the mind, we have seen, is the pivot around which our entire life revolves. And that's why now from these 8 instructions, I'm picking only 2 of the instructions, and those now form the basis of the 2 pillars now that I'm addressing on this episode, and the other one the next episode. Now we are on the first instruction, that is, whatsoever things are true. Before we come to the third instruction, that is, whatsoever things are just. Now we are on whatsoever things are true. As we launch into this pillar, it is very important to understand that truth is not liked by many people. It is not liked by people who are not honest with life. And believe you me, so many human beings are not honest with life. They are not humble and honest with life. And that is why you find life being too difficult for so many people, because first of all, we are told by the Englishman that the truth is bitter. The truth is bitter. The Swahili people tell us, ukweli unauma. The truth bites. Ukweli unauma. The Kamba people tell us, ulawo wihu. The truth is bitter. So you see, even in medical practice, actually, even herbs, the bitter herbs are the ones that actually are effective when it comes to curing diseases and this. The bitter herbs. The truth is curative when it comes to issue of life. Because Kamba people tell us, although the truth is bitter, the Kamba people tell us, the truth does not deviate from the way. Even if it is planted on a rock, it will germinate. It will germinate. That is now what we are talking about when it comes to life. Because no matter how deep you bury the truth, it will unearth someday. This is a pillar of life. This side of eternity and the other life to come. But me, I'm focusing currently on life on this side of eternity. Become your best in the land of the living. This is what is called now reality of life. When I say life is very practical, it will never be synonymous with the fantasies. If you escape reality into a world of fantasies and succeed in dodging facts in life, you unfortunately don't succeed in dodging failure. This is what is called dodging the truths in life. And this far, from the first episode on this platform, I've been focusing on the truth. Only that I did not bring it across the way I'm now bringing it as a pillar of life. You need from age 20 as you begin to deploy yourself in the land of the living. There is truth. When I talked about introduction to the mind, you see, there is what I talked about mind, will, and emotions, and that is the truth. If you don't understand how mind, will, and emotions operate in a trio manner, that is at your peril. That is truth. When already your will is not satisfied, already it has feelings. And when it has feelings, the feelings go to the mind. You have psychological disturbance, and then the mind becomes a mere weight on the body. That is a truth. Whether you are black colored, whether you are white colored, whichever nation you come from, as a human being, that is the truth. And if you don't discover truths that are governing life, then it is at your peril, because the truth will always work. What will always work in life is the truth. And that is why now on this pillar, I will be backtracking a bit on what we have been tackling in the previous episodes, starting with the functions of the mind. If you don't know there's a function of your mind called learning, which culminates in knowledge. You don't know there is what is called pondering over that knowledge to become something called understanding. And this is through a function called meditation. If you don't know there's something called reasoning, engage your mind into logical, rational, and analytical thinking. If you don't know there's something called imagination, formation of mental pictures of things that are not factual, but may translate to a reality. If you don't know that, it is the truth, whether you know it or you don't know. And you just walk through life, you just go ahead straddling the fence or beating about the bush because you don't understand the instrument that was given to you in order to understand this stuff. You are not using it. You are not using your mind. That should now discover the truths of life. When it comes to laws that are governing life, even when it comes to the lowest level, the law of the land, it is publicly said and known that ignorance is no defense in any court of law. You cannot stand before a judge and be acquitted on account of having not been aware of the provision of the law. That is not palatable in the judicial system. So it is your responsibility to know the truth. Now that the same applies to the laws of nature. Whatever you don't know in the laws of nature, whether you know it or you don't know the truth about it, already it will work. And it is going to challenge you. It is going to cripple your life because you are violating a law. Whether you know it or you don't know, it is a truth that must work. When it comes to spiritual laws, if you don't know the difference between God and the Satan, you don't know who is powerful. There is truth about it. There is the one who is powerful than the other. When it comes to spiritual laws, you don't know whether heaven is there or hell is there. Whether you know or you don't know, already the truth is there. It is your responsibility to know the truth. Ignoring the lake of fire cannot make it go away. So there is what we are calling truth when it comes to addressing life. And when it comes to the 4 keys you need to have in order now to have peaceful life, that is the truth. If you eat 20 years and onward, you don't even know yourself very well, you are not respecting yourself, you are going to face the consequences. There is truth about having the humility of understanding fellow human beings and respecting their space in life. If you don't know that is the reality, it is required for you as you navigate life and as you come across other fellow human beings, you will know that is the truth and you face the consequences. If you don't know God is there and you choose not to be a God-fearing person, there are consequences. These are truths. And we need to know that the reason so many people are in mental distress and disorders is because so many human beings don't like truth. They avoid truth. They are not honest with life. Even they themselves. They don't need to lie to anybody. They themselves. Because we are told when it comes to these 2 episodes, apart from being these 2 pillars, apart from looking at it from the perspective of Apostle Paul, the first one being whatsoever things are true, the second one being, the third one being whatsoever things are just. Still Jeremiah told us in chapter 17 verse 9, the heart is deceitful than all things and is wicked. Now, those are the 2 pillars I'm about to tackle. We are first on the issue of deception. The heart is deceitful than all things. And so many people are living in deceit, even deceiving themselves. That is why you see so many people assume knowledge. They jump onto an issue without doing due diligence. They just assume. They don't know their heart because of that condition I call stubbornness. Having a stony heart, that condition, already the heart is deceiving them. They are going to make it. Yet there is the practicality of it. When it comes, if it is marriage and you have gotten married to somebody you don't know whatsoever things are true, the truth is waiting and the reality will come across. When it dawns on you, that is when you know you cannot dodge a fact in life. You are not being honest with your life. That is why you think you can assume. Your heart is deceiving you. You just get a financial capital and you go and begin a business without human capital. You don't go to consider, to consult, to have know-how and the skills. You just begin your shenanigans, you call it business, yet it is going to fail. Because you are assuming knowledge. You are assuming knowledge because you are not honest. You don't know you can fail. You seem to be overconfident. You are approaching life with such kind of laxity and deceit. The heart is deceitful than all things. And we are taught it is wicked. Who can know it? If you're not humble in life, you can be deceived a lot by your own personal heart. And you need to understand that when it comes to the pillar called truth, my friend, the truth will work. If you pay the price, you take the right course, you give meticulous attention to details, you invest in your mind, you acquire human capital, I tell you, even if the going gets tough, you'll be among the tough who keep going. Things will work because the truth, even if it is planted on a rock, it will germinate. It will germinate. The truth, yes, does not deviate from the way. It is a very powerful pillar we need from age 20 as now we begin to deploy ourselves in the land of the living. It is called the truth. And this is where I would like, still backtracking, revealing now how people are not honest with themselves, and how people are not honest with life, and how people are now joking, just addressing on the episodes we have covered so far. You see the real joke when it comes to the issue of 3 levels of wisdom and foolishness. The scripture is very clear. It has said, whatsoever things are true. Whatsoever things are true. So you don't jump into marriage with somebody and you have not taken time to know whatsoever things are true. Always I say, if you know half truth, you end up being buried by the other half. Yes, you jump to get married to somebody simply because he's a teacher. A very good teacher, secondary school teacher of English and this and that. But there's something you don't know. That person cannot handle money well. Even if he gets a loan of 500,000 within 3 weeks, he will not show you what he has done with this money. Leave alone that you're ignoring that money is a chain smoker. He smokes more than 2 packets of cigarette in a day. That is now 800 shillings. If it is sportman, 800 daily, and by the end of the month, that is 2,400. 24,000. You need to reduce it to his salary and see the reality, because you are going to suffer. Being a wife of a teacher, you are going to suffer because of a 20K is going to smoking. These are truths you want to dodge. How can you dodge the truth? And this is where we find so many people not being honest, letting their hearts deceive them. Yet when now the reality strikes, they begin to say, I wish I knew. Question is, why did you know? Because we saw the first level of foolishness is that person who does not want to acquire knowledge. That is Proverbs chapter 18. Verse 15. And a diligent mind acquires knowledge. The ear of the wise seeks knowledge. Why don't you want to seek knowledge of whatsoever things are true? If it is your child, why can't you seek to know your child very well? If it is about your boss, why can't you seek to know your boss very well? If it is about a scheme, get rich quick scheme you have heard about somewhere, why can't you do due diligence and know whatsoever things are true concerning that scheme before you invest in it? Whatever, if it is a vehicle you are purchasing, why can't you do due diligence? Take time and know whatsoever things are true. Because that is what we are instructed by the one who brought us into this world. He gave us minds. It is our responsibility to engage the minds on whatsoever things are true before we take action. And that is why I said taking action concerning a matter, thinking to take action concerning a matter you don't know or you are naive about, that is called a thought of foolishness in Proverbs chapter 24 verse 9. And we saw the thought of foolishness is a sin before the eyes of your maker. He gave you your mind and he told you whatsoever things are true. Why do you want to take action and you have not done due diligence? Why do you want to take action and you don't know whatsoever things are true? Why are you letting your stubborn heart deceive you? Because it is the heart deceiving you are going to make it in business. Yet you have not done due diligence. You have not consulted those who have known it through experience, tajriba. There are those who have known it, have been there for 2 decades. You are not willing to get whatsoever things are true, yet your heart is deceiving you are going to make it. How? And this is how now human beings cannot escape mental disorders. We are talking about mental health, yet we are not prepared to kill the spider. We want every morning to wake up to be removing cobwebs about treating mental cases. We don't want to be honest with life and deal with it right from the roots. We don't want to guide our children, our blessing from God, our children from age 20, so that once they are eating 40, 50, they are not suffering from stress, depression, and whatever. Why are we not addressing these problems from the root cause? Because that is the wisdom of killing the spider. We don't want a generation that is crazy, that is already stressed up, that is going to mental asylum. But we are not honest. You are just telling your own son, joining you to be a smoker, yet you are not honest. You yourself, you know, you have not benefited at all from that thing. By experience, your personal experience, yet you cannot guide your child very well. You want your child to follow suit. And we say, we are honest with life. There is something called whatsoever things are true. Whenever I'm addressing on knowledge acquisition, talking about the knowledge, actually there's something called knowing it very well. I call it knowing it very well. Because if you receive distorted information, or you receive information already being a busybody addressing other things because you are a boss, and you get the wrong, you don't get the information very well. When you now arise to act, you are going to act being sincere but sincerely wrong. And it won't work because only the truth works. And this is an episode we get it very well in 2 Kings chapter 5, where we see a great army commander in the land of Syria who had leprosy, a man called Naaman. I know you know that story very well. And there's a little maid that German had captured from the land of Israel. And once upon a time, this little maid told Mrs. Naaman, I wish that my boss would be in Samaria and meet a prophet there called Elisha. That man could cure him this hypocrisy, this leprosy. Now, this girl is the one who now can be called a professor as far as the healing of Naaman was concerned, because that disease had no cure, and that is what was known. But this little maid knew something different. He knew it can be cured. She knew it can be cured. Pardon for that. She knew it as cure, and she knew who could cure it. Yes, the man, and where he was. She had correct information. But when now that information was being acted on, we see a lot of mental malpractice. Because we see now the king of Syria writing a letter to the king of Israel telling him to cure Naaman. Surely, the information that was released by the little man did not mention about a prophet, a king in Israel who could cure leprosy. She talked about a prophet, and she said the prophet was in Samaria. So it means either when the information was being relayed to the state house, it was distorted. The king was not told the whole truth. Or if the information was not distorted, it shows us that now the king received the information while she was very busy, maybe on his phone receiving another call, and he's telling you, yeah, proceed. These are the kind of shenanigans we see with the people. Somebody, do you have two minds? Instead of, first of all, stopping the call and receive the information that is being relayed to you, now you want to purport that you have got two minds. You are saying, continue, I'm listening. And that is how people don't receive the whole truth. And then this gentleman, a whole king, now wrote a letter to the king of Israel. And we see now how that action now brought a lot of psychological disturbance and a lot of trauma to the king of Israel, because actually Syria was a national threat to Israel. And what the king of Israel now thought was that the king of Syria was looking for war. And actually the king of Syria was not looking for war. He wrote the letter being very sincere. He wanted his army commander to be cured. But he did not now have the whole truth when he was writing this letter. Either the information was distorted or the king was not listening very well what was being communicated. And we know very well when now the prophet heard that the king of Israel tore his clothes. That is when now Elisha intervened on the matter. And we know Naaman was healed and all this and that. But my focus is, if it comes to truth, you must acquire it very well. Only the truth will work. If you receive distorted information, or you receive information with the butterfly excitements of somebody who is calling you, you are saying yes, 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 because you are a big boss, and you don't get correctly what is being communicated, and you are rise now to act, you are going to fail terribly, even if you are a professor, even if you are a president, even if you are a principal, even if you are a bishop, you are going to fail terribly. It is only the truth that will work in this life. It is a pillar of life. It is called the truth. Now, the Holy Scripture tells us whatsoever things are true. You have to get the truth, and you have to get it very well. You have to lay aside every other business and be keen on what is being communicated to you. And you have to verify it before even you begin to act, because if it is not based on the word truth, it will never work. It will never work. And you cannot build your life with such butterfly excitements of just receiving information. You have not verified it and you want to act. That is not life, my friend. That is not life. Already it will taboo. This is a pillar I'm talking about. You need to have it in all aspects of your life, whether it comes to marriage, whether it is a career, whatever, whether it's a plot you are purchasing somewhere, whether it is a vehicle you are purchasing, whether it is time for construction. You need to know whatsoever things are true concerning painting, whatsoever things are true concerning roofing, whatsoever things are true concerning machine cut, whatsoever things are true concerning everything. If you want that facility you are calling house, when it is time to say, this is what actually I needed. Yes, every aspect there's truth about it. There is fake material. There is this and that. So you have to do due diligence. It is called whatsoever things are true. So it means from age 20, you must sit up mentally. The layman's language, karanda. Peter tells us in 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 8, be vigilant, be sober. For your adversary the devil walketh about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. We have a liar, the devil, who is out, and we have seen our own acts are deceitful than all things. And even the devil, Revelation 20, chapter 2 verse 9, is the deceiver of the whole world. And John chapter 8 verse 44 is a liar and the father of lies. So you have to sober up and make sure whatever now is a personal concern, you have known whatsoever things are true before you log in. This is a pillar you need in life, and you cannot dare now sidestep it when you are building your life. And this is now, at this level now, we are getting now caution on one of the pillar that if you miss it in life, you can die before your time. You're beginning to deploy yourself in the land of the living, but because of something called foolishness, you die before your time. In the book of Ecclesiastes, I mentioned that verse in other episodes. Solomon telling us, be not overmuch wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why shouldest thou die before thy time? These are the two pillars I'm talking about, and I'm coming to the next one. That is now where we talk about justice, and the opposite of it. If you are not a just human being, you don't live leisureously, you are now wicked. Now, this is be not overmuch wicked, neither be thou foolish. And that is what we are still seeing in Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 9. The heart is deceitful than all things, and the wicked, who can know it? So when it comes to life, you can die before your time because of something called foolishness. As we saw it being the first level of foolishness is lack of mental craving to acquire knowledge. You don't know whatsoever things are true. That is just a guy you met last month. You have only taken a cup together 2 days, and now you have gone the whole length into his life now. And you end up being slaughtered, mutilated, because you did not know whatsoever things are true. That is not now the government to be blamed. That is not now the church to be blamed or the parents to be blamed. That is your personal responsibility and discretion when you begin to deploy yourself in the land of the living. And this is what every parent needs now to advise their children as they begin to live now their families and they proceed to meet the world. There is something called whatsoever things are true. Don't get into a vehicle without consulting or an inquiry about the fare. This is why you hear something very simple. You begin exchanging with the conductor and you hear somebody was thrown from a vehicle, highway now. It's that person died. I'm not advocating for that. But when emotions now begin to fly and they begin to now rise, you might end up committing manslaughter. That is homicide without malice and all this. We know how emotions can lead to. And this is just an exchange. The conductor needs his money. You are the one who enter the vehicle without consulting, and you don't have a company in that vehicle. You're only a passenger. And advise your child there's something called whatsoever things are true. And taking action without consulting and without making due diligence, that is foolishness. And your son can come to your home in a coffin. Once now they are engaging the world, there is something called whatsoever things are true. Let him not just meet somebody selling jacket. He says jacket 100, jacket 100, jacket 100. We are told even when the deal seems too good, think it twice, because there is truth about everything. These jackets of 100, and when you look at them, they are valued at around 1K. Where have they come from? Because if they are being tracked, you are going to fetch your son behind the bars. If those jackets are being tracked. And this is where you need to tell them there is one great pillar of life called truth. Let not your daughter come and tell you, I've seen a guy who will marry me. And when you ask you, how do you know that guy? You say, she says, I know him very well. And they have met only 2 days. Even before she brings that kind of nonsense, let her know from you before she leaves the home compound, there is something called whatsoever things are true. Now, it's our personal responsibility to make sure she has known that person in and out, because the truth will stand. The truth will stand. If she never knew the truth about that person, now things are going to backfire, she's going to be in distress. She cannot claim to be in normal mental health. Even if she's saying grandly, she has a degree from Ivory Towers. A degree is something else, and this thing we are calling marriage now is something else, which is bringing stress. And that is how life is. When it comes to the issues that I tackled concerning keys of life, I mentioned the second key as having the humility of understanding fellow human beings and respect their space in life. Understanding other fellow human beings is endeavoring to seek to learn the truth about this person before you begin relating in a certain manner in the plot. You are a co-tenant, you have joined them. Yes, there is the truth about his character. There is the truth about our character. Before you get to this kind of length, you are supposed to have known whatsoever things are true concerning that person. Because if you know have truth, you end up assuming the person, you might end up now in conflicts, and that will not end well. When it comes to having understood yourself, it is knowing whatsoever things are true concerning yourself and respecting yourself. These are all based on a pillar that is called truth. You cannot dodge the truth. When it comes to the issues of laws governing life, it is the truth. If you know very well, you don't have employment. You know very well you cannot clear a debt of only 80,000. You're been with that debt for almost a year, and you are in a financial constraint. That is the truth. Stop purporting to be a human being who can feed a wife, yet you cannot feed yourself. There is truth. To this, you are not employed. To this, you cannot give yourself 3 decent meals. Where is a budget of 2 people going to come from? Because already, if you allow your heart to deceive you because you are stubborn, you have a stony heart, you allow it to deceive you, there is no problem. We are going to cope. Coping with what? How are you going to cope? This is a law of nature. You must be eating in order to live. And you cannot provide 3 meals for yourself. How will you provide the meal for 2 people? This is the truth. A great pillar of life. You have got a life to live. And the one thing you cannot dare joke with is called truth. Whatever comes, whether we are dealing with the keys that we need in order to have a peaceful life, whether we are dealing with the knowledge, whether we are dealing with the functions of the mind, whether we are dealing with the mind itself, whether we are dealing with the laws that are governing life, everything has got truth. One of the greatest pillars. One of the greatest pillars in life. And I tell you, if already you live such a life of giving meticulous attention to details, you cannot find yourself behind the bars having appended a signature on documents you have not verified. You know there's something called the truth. You don't know the truth in these documents. Yes, you tell the boss to wait, you sign them after you have gone through them. That is what is called doing due diligence. And this is all revolving around one pillar you need in life, a pillar called truth. Also, when it comes to what I was tackling in the last episode, that is a personal dream. Your personal dream should be based on the truth about your talent, the truth about your gift. If you assume you have a certain gift and it is not true, then you are going to see the reality. You are going to see the reality. It is the truth that works. Whatever you are calling your personal talent, it should be truth. You should have discovered in this book, chapter 5 is knowing your purpose. This is where it comes to knowing what on earth you are here for, what best you can do for a living. That should be based on truth. And this is where we are recording so many lies. People are not honest with the life. Even our leaders are not honest with the life. I talked about issues to do with the master key to release potential. This is called the work. And it being called the work, I talked about the fallacies surrounding the GDP in many nations of the world. You are telling the citizens you are going to raise GDP, yet you are not giving them enabling an environment now to do production. They are the players in the field. 77% of the GDP is from the citizens. It's not from the government. The purpose of the government is to provide enabling an environment. Don't suffocate them with overtaxation. You are not honest. If you suffocate them with overtaxation, definitely many players will leave already the arena. We will leave. And because you cannot legislate labor, you cannot force them to continue with the company, and already it is crumbling. Definitely you cannot lie to anybody. You are raising GDP. There is something called truth. That is not based on truth. It is just a lie to earn political mileage and to deceive the naive. This is where we need to be very honest with life. If we want to impact the world, we want to turn the world into a utopia, if not a veritable paradise. We have to make sure that what we are telling people is the truth. When we are selling our manifesto here and there, let it revolve around a pillar called the truth. Let it not be based on a lie or let it a fallacy. Let it be based on a fact. A true fact, because only the truth will work. You cannot lie to people, and already there is no truth. When you try to do 1, 2, 3 arithmetics, you feel these things are not adding up, but still you are selling it. That is not based on truth. What is called truth is a pillar, starting from our personal level. It is a pillar. You have to base your life on something called the truth and the integrity of life. Chapter 13 of this book talks about cherish integrity. You don't become your best through corruption. Whatever you are presenting as a credential, a testimony, as a certificate, it has to be the truth. Not something you purchased on the river road and all this kind of shenanigans. Already you cannot become your best when you are living a lie. Becoming your best is to release who you are. Who you are. There is what is called integrity of life, cutting across all the way from our personal level, family level, up to national and the federal level. Truth must be a pillar. If we're talking about being honesty with your life. Things that I sell even in life coaching. Real life, when it comes to truth, when it comes to facts and the fictions, when it comes to what is truth and what is a fallacy. You see, I know you know it very well. Simple examples. I always use simple examples in life coaching. You see, not every person living secondary school lives with the A, B, or C. There are those who live even with the D minus and then D plus and this. And there is an illusion that such people are useless. Most of such people who are not performing academically, they move out there not taking themselves seriously. Yet, there is truth about themselves. There is what they came in the world to do, what they should be proud of. If you heard me very well in the last episode, talking about people who will be waking up to chase money, and the people will be waking up being chased by money. Here I was not talking about a degree. There are people who have good degrees, yet they wake up to go and they chase money, and they go home without money. There is somebody who even never finished primary school course, yet they wake up being chased by money. They are receiving a 4. just in informal sector, because they discovered what on earth they are here for. The service they can now render in the land of the living, what they can release to humanity and now serve humanity. You serve humanity as a lady in a saloon. Already it is human beings who need that service. You serve humanity as a mechanic. Already once somebody purchases a vehicle, it will break down. That's the law of nature. These are laws of physics. It will for that vehicle one time. We will need a mechanic. And if you understand this is your area and your calling of life, you must be very honest with life and just go on with it. Already there's truth about everything. And now I told you, when I'm talking about mental disorders, there is no way you can be violating laws, even the pillar of truth, and you say you are not going to have mental disorders. For example, if you don't discover what I stated last episode, what on earth you are here for, you don't go for it. You are not a go-getter. You don't have a personal dream. That down the line, you can start now enjoying dividends, money following you. Definitely, if you don't have enough money for your upkeep, this is a phone ringing. It is of your landlord. For 2 months, you have not paid him his money. I don't see how, even before you take that pawn, you will not panic. As you gather yourself to know now and again combustion or now to answer the landlord. That is now bringing mental disorder. Yes, even if you are very busy eating, you are going to panic a bit. What are you going to tell the landlord? This is about financial constraints. You see your child has been at home 2 weeks, having been chased from school because of school fees. And you come home, you are told, David has not eaten lunch. And then already he has proceeded to bed, he has not taken supper. You have to compose yourself, or now you are going to talk to your son. This is about flesh and the blood. Blood is thicker than water. And as you compose yourself, I tell you, you are not going to be in normal mental health. This is about financial constraints. And you cannot from 20 years fail to begin to lay foundation on now. Money can start following you as you deploy yourself within the framework and the parameters of your gifting and the talenting. Yet you say you have a pillar. You are losing a pillar that can make your life taboo, which is called a personal dream. And doing it within the framework of your gifting. Also, when it comes to truth, once you are missing this great pillar, I don't know how you can say you'll be in normal mental health when a lot that concerns you is backfiring. Never. You're just a liar. And this is where we see so many people who live in school just underrating the reality of life. Many don't buy the wisdom of Dr. David Livingstone. I quoted him in chapter 1 of this book, which says, the order of progress. The law that ensures that in life, you are not static. In life, you are not backsliding, because you cannot become your best when you are backsliding in life. And you cannot become your best when you are static. You are not making headway. There's a law that works. And Dr. David Livingstone, quoting him in chapter 1, he said, anywhere provided it be forward. Yes, anywhere provided it be forward. This is the truth. You cannot, after conceiving your dream, and after knowing where you are headed, definitely you must know that you can start anywhere, so long as you have your dream on board. I stated that a life of an empty person is like a skydiver's jump. There might be thrills for a moment. Without the parachutes, they hit the ground very hard. This is a life of somebody who does not have a personal dream. How does this go together with the truth? For instance, I know most of those who have left Form 4 in your place, and I'm talking about now the girls, they cannot go to do house chore as house help. They cannot. And that person is called only D-. And they say, I cannot do that kind of work. Okay? Now, that person, first of all, I want to tell you that person is not speaking the truth. When she says, I cannot do that kind of chore, she is not speaking a fact. She is speaking a fallacy. She is speaking a fiction. She is not speaking the truth. That is a fallacy. Because I cannot see how you wake up in the same compound with your mother, and now she goes to sweep the compound while you are there. She takes a broom and begins to sweep the compound. Or she takes a jerrycan of water and go to the river and fetch water. Or she gets at around 11 a.m. to cook and take the food to your siblings who are in school while you are lying on the bed because you don't do home chore. My friend, that is what is called home chore. You are doing to your mother, and your mother cannot afford even 1,000 to pay you by the end of the month. That is foolishness. That is foolishness. And if your mother comes from the school thought, the same school of thought, that my daughter cannot do that kind of work, both of you are foolish. You are foolish because you don't know what you are calling house chore. That is what you are doing in your mother's compound, yet you are saying you cannot do it. One thing you don't know, the truth now, when I'm pressing on the truth of life, is that what you are calling home chore as a house help somewhere, first of all, those people who do that kind of work, they eat better than you, the way you are eating in your mother's home. Secondly, they have relieved their mother the responsibility of feeding them. Giving a human being who is 20 years and above 3 plates in a day, that is not is work. And especially this in third world countries, where actually the main business is looking for what is going to be eaten that day. And now you underrate that. You began eating your mother while you are sucking her. And now here you are, 20 years and above, you are still eating what she has gone to look for. And here you are with your mother arguing along the lines of your stupidity, saying, my daughter cannot, she's a Form 4 leaver. A Form 4 leaver who got it. You are saying she cannot do that kind of work. That is called foolishness. Because the kind of work now you are saying she cannot do, going by laws of nature, that work she is given food. She has relieved you plates of food a whole month. That is not cheap. She has given you a breathing space economically. She has gone to be eating in another place. Secondly, in that work she is doing, she's soap is for washing is provided. She does not pay the bills of electricity. She does not pay the bills of water. She baths with the water. She does not know how it is paid. She charges her phone with the electricity. Don't know how it is paid. Toothpaste is there. Everything is provided, and that person is given 8K without deductions. 8K. What is gross is what is the same. Is just what is net. She receives 8K after being fed and provided for all these things. She receives 8K. Somebody who can comfortably, if she has a dream and she has chosen to begin from that, because Dr. David Livingstone said, anywhere, provide it be forward. What matters is this person having a dream? If she has a dream, David, so long as going by laws of nature, she has not left a child at home. She did not give birth to a child. She has no child to take care of. She is comfortable to save half of that money, because going by laws of nature, she eats. Food is provided. The biggest requirement we need, basic need we need, is food. Is provided from the first day to the last day of the month. And if she's saving that amount of money, by the end of 1 year, that person is having 48,000. 2 years, we are talking about 96K. The third year, we are talking about over 100K. And if that person had a dream of being an entrepreneur, she is not looking for the government to give them 30K of uwezo kwa vijana. That person has released potential. That kind of worker, you want her to be giving you there. The home where already poverty is crying. Already that worker, she is giving it elsewhere where she is paid. And every month she slaps you with 1K. Yes, it says honor your father and the mother. Already she is relieving you financially. She is slapping with the 2K or 1K after saving 4,000 because she has got a dream. She has got a dream. And she's looking for what is called financial capital. Let me tell you, 3 years, those who did Form 4 with her will have not completed a degree. Even so, even they don't know, there is still a learning gap between where they are and what we call internship. Why do people, when they fail to proceed to university, think that the other university they need to get into is marriage? At 22, somebody now is pregnant, is getting married. Yet, already, none of you is employed. None of you, you and the boy who is marrying you, none is stable to feed a child. This is where actually the rain starts beating you. The rain starts beating you straight before even you bring the first child in the world, because you don't have financial, you don't have monetary muscle for a family. That is violation of laws. That is also pride, not living your own life. You are afraid of what the peers will say. Pauline, she's working in Buruburu. I heard that she is a house help. Do you live a life, your life, or you are living a life of your peers? It means you have not defined your own life. It means you are not respecting yourself. It means you are not letting people be and pursue. You don't have a goal. If you don't have a personal dream of having business of over 100K 3 years down the line, what you will start, even if you are given that house, that house help work, we will be showing the world thrills. A matter of 4 months, you will be having a smartphone of 20K because your money is not paying school fees, is not taking given for health care of a child. You don't have a child. You will show people thrills. You are meeting in a church with a smartphone that a teacher who is there cannot afford, because those are called thrills. You want to purchase a pullover of 3,000 to look like a secondary school teacher. You are not one. You are not one, and you cannot be one. But I'm not underwriting on the meaning who you are, but you are showing thrills. You don't want to live your life. You don't want to lay a foundation like somebody who has a dream. That is why I said a life of an empty person is like a skydivers without parachutes. You are going to hit the ground very hard, because what you'll be showing people is thrills. When you get to a salon, you want the 30 style, which is 15K. You want to look like a teacher. Those are called thrills. Show off. You want to be seen in social media looking like a teacher. You are not one. You are deceiving yourself. Your heart is deceitful, and it is deceiving you to look like that. You are deceiving yourself. You are not living a life of reality. You are escaping reality into a world of fantasies. You are not a teacher. That is called a world of fantasies. And that is why down the line you end up just short-circuiting your life, because you don't have a personal dream. I remember, I don't preach water, I drink wine. By the time I was leaving Form 4, in those years, actually, we were doing 10 subjects, 844, and it was non-joke. Actually, issues to do with the meaning grains of hair were a rare thing. We used to feel that we are giants if we have scored A in a subject, but not meaning grains. And I remember down in my village, there's a school, some friend teachers of mine could call me to go and do some coaching if I get time to go and do some coaching. Majago School, I was commanding that giant school as the games captain. So I could go and do some coaching there. And there was opportunity for two, they were called the PT head teachers by then, to be employed. There was such opportunity, and actually, they wanted me to get employed there. They knew my competence. They knew my qualifications. But I said no. I said no. And the McQ, I come from one of the poorest families in that region. But I said no because of what? There is what we call engaging your mind into logical, rational, and analytical thinking. There's something called truth. And I told you 80%, when I'm addressing on reasoning, 80% of human beings are only thinking. 15% think that they think. Only 5% think creatively, and they are driving the masses. And no wonder that is why almost 3/4 of in the world, they are very poor in mathematics. Mathematics is no joke. When you read mathematics, after the end of the question, you don't take a pen. You sit up mentally to engage your mind into logical, rational, and analytical thinking to know what you are going to write it down. And because so many avoid thinking, that's why after reading to the end, you try to look up, you try to think, you see blackout, you jump that one, you go to another one, you go jumping to another one. At the end of the day, you get 0.8%. Mathematics. It calls for rational thinkers. Engage your mind into logical, rational, and analytical thinking. This is one of the subjects I was very good in. I left class 1 scoring 100%. Mathematics, Kikamba language, and CRE being position 1. I left class 8 also being position 1 in the class, and the air constant of mathematics was very high. And I remember in Machako School 1989 and 9 being in Form 2, there is an exam I scored everything in mathematics. So when I'm talking about reasoning, engage your mind into logical, rational, and analytical thinking, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just only a preacher, I'm an academician. And this is where now I have to tell you the power of reasoning. I said no, I refused. Why? Because there are laws at work. When I calculated from my home to that school, there is a walking distance of 45 minutes. Then I calculate going to and fro. that distance. And the salary I was going to be paid is 1,500. And that is what was being given to secondary school teachers, even 1,500 Kenya shillings by that time. But I said no, because I have to calculate the wear and the tear of my shoe, Monday to Friday, going to that school. I have to calculate wear and tear of my shirt, Monday to Friday, going to ask the pupils, good morning, pupils. I have to calculate break time. I have to purchase sugar. Actually, the same amount of money the head teacher will produce is the same amount I will produce to purchase sugar and the milk and my day of providing lunch. I have to calculate all those logistics. And now I try to analyze, is 1,500 going to replenish my shirt because it is going to be wearing out, and my shoes? There is something we call already working for nothing or working for loss. I say no. I say no because I can do all things and I know the law of nature. There is wear and tear and all those things. And having said no, within a short time, that community came to be shaken by me, because when I arose and they went to Gikomba and they began now to bring the days when I'm free, they find me in market. I go when I find the camera, I know that after camera we go to which is called Fagia, high Fagia, Chakara in Gunias, 3 bob, and you find me in a market on Tuesday in a market called Tower saying beba yako na ya mwana kumi kumi. Yet I left Kiswahili air constant. Instead of going to class and teach Kiswahili, I don't have an offense, because my life is mine. And there is what is called fundamental rights and the freedom of an individual. This is an abuse, giving me 1,500. Yet I can go to that Gikomba, I come, I say, beba yako na ya mwana kumi kumi. This, now, my capital would come back to me, the first market, Tower. And the following day, I proceed to another market called Bubune. And I get a capital which is more than 1,500. That, the amount of money you are telling me you are going to give me a whole month and all that, I say no. Because I know even in the evening, after leaving that class, I cannot purchase myself a cup of tea in that local market, which is there in my home place. I cannot purchase it. Even from 15th to 20th, I'm broke. And I have debts. But when I'm going there, Gikomba, I come and say, beba yako na ya mwana kumi kumi. I know if my sister comes in the market with some cousins, I will give them money to go and eat lunch. Yes. And I know I'm going to eat very heavy lunch. There is what we call laws of nature. And these are principles governing life. There is what is called the truth. And having scored and does not mean you need to go and be a teacher. This is why you see so many people be abused. Especially in Kenya, somebody left Kilimambogo Teachers College more than 8 years ago, not employed. Is given only 7,000 by the government. That person is not by the government, by the parents, to teach what that person of TSC is given. Is teaching the same subject, the same period, the same energy, yet given 7,000. And that child is not given food, is not given soap, is not given water, is not given electricity. Yet that child is there. They cannot engage their minds into logical, rational, and analytical thinking and understand why Dr. David Livingstone said anywhere provided it be forward. Yes, I was there by selling the mediocre clothes. Beba yako na ya mwana. Yes, take yours and for your child. I was there because already being competent and being needed to go in a class and teach. I was there and I was getting good money. My friends, these things I cannot exhaust on this platform. I'm just trying to help this generation full of misguided curiosity. And especially this generation embracing the mindset of Isekam Isego mindset.com generation. That's why people are living their good country, Kenya, and they are going to die somewhere in another country, being house help there, simply because they want to get rich quickly. This is why so many are duped through get rich quick schemes. There is something called the process in life. In life, there is a process. If you cannot subject yourself to a process, being a house help, having left Kilimambogo, instead of being given 70K here, now, and you are not given food, you are there, already starving, already you can be a house help somewhere. And before your boss realizes you are a teacher after 2 years of saving good money with almost 100K, saving 4K because you are given food, you are given everything. Before they realize you are a trained teacher, they realize because they have seen the improvement of their child. Because every evening you sit down for free, you teach that child in that family, and your boss can say, wow, what is this? And there is no amount of money that boss cannot give you. They see who you are. They come to realize they have been, actually who has been serving them, washing plates is a trained teacher, qualified. And they can still gather some children from the neighborhood, 10 of them to be given just in that house to be just teaching them. Life is no joke. Life is personal responsibility. It is a personal business. And I stated in last episode, the way you lay the bed of your life, so you lie on it. There are laws governing life, my friend. These are very powerful laws. And that is why you cannot afford to joke in life. I'm talking about a pillar that is called truth. That pillar called truth. You cannot ignore it. From age 20, and you tell us you are a serious human being. A lot of your life will backfire. When it starts raining on your parade, when things backfire, when you find yourself walking through hell and high water, that is when you know you don't know. And that is when you find yourself acting emotionally. And that when you find that you already being traumatized psychologically. And that is when you find that your body is becoming a weight on your body. You are in depression. You are burning out. You have suicidal thoughts. My friend, that is not the way to go. This great pillar from age 20, you make it sure before you log in, you know the truth. And you know the whole truth. Whatsoever things are true. That is what the Bible is telling us. A lot is mentioned and tackled in this book, Become Your Best. This is a book. You can get it when you contact through the number below. You can also get it from through Amazon platform in order to become your best in the land of the living. And this is Nuggets of Wisdom with me, Dr. Charles Nzomo, AK. Meet me next episode. I am your tour guide. We are trying to explore this great mystery of life, and I tell you, your life will never be the same again if you are honest with life. Shalom.